side. There's showtime. Andy? Oh, what about Pat?
I can call him after the pledge.
Okay, and you're just going to come up here and make that work? All right. I would like to call to order the City Council meeting for the City of Monona of Monday, October 7th, 2013. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alder Holmquist.
Here.
Alder Thomas.
Here.
Alder Bussey.
Here.
Alder Wood.
Here.
Alder Spate.
Here.
Alder O'Connor. Mayor Miller.
Here. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there a motion for approval of the minutes of the September 16th, 2013 City Council meeting?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any corrections, deletions, or additions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes have been approved. Bear with us as technology demonstration is about to begin and no doubt fail. Our city administrator wanted to be present tonight. We have a lot of important topics, and he's attending a conference. He's our representative at a national conference, so I'm pleased he's there. But Pat, are you there?
I am.
All right. All right, everyone's listening to everything you say, and there's about 4,000 people here, so don't say anything bad about the mayor, please.
I'll try not to.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone who would like to speak about any matter outside of something that's on the agenda? And what's on the agenda tonight is most of you are here regarding the scoreboard at Ahuska Park and the budget. Is there anyone else who would like to make an appearance about anything outside of those two items? Seeing no one, I will declare the public appearances section closed. We do have a proclamation this evening recognizing October 7th, 2013 as Pink Day in the city of Monona in recognition of National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And is there a representative here this evening? You want to come up to the podium, please? Anyone pink? Bring those cupcakes too. That's the important. Come on, open that up.
Joan would be up here too, but she's...
Joan? Janine? This is wonderful. This is great. All right, I'd like to read the following proclamation. Whereas National Breast Cancer Awareness Month educates women about the importance of early detection for breast cancer, and whereas since the inception of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, mammography use has doubled and breast cancer death rates have declined. Still, many women do not utilize mammography at regular intervals. And whereas mammography is the best available method of detecting breast changes that may be cancer, long before physical symptoms can be seen or felt, and breast cancer deaths could decline further if all women aged 40 and older received mammograms at regular intervals. And whereas members of the Monona Police Department helped to kick off Breast Cancer Awareness Month on October 4th, 2013 by participating in Justice for a Cure, a parade of police squads, fire trucks, and EMS vehicles around the Capitol Square. Monona Police Squad cars will continue pink ribbons, and Monona Fire EMS personnel will wear special pink T-shirts throughout the month of October. And whereas the Monona Public Library offers the Coleman Collection, a special collection of over 400 books, DVDs, picture books, audio books in both English and Spanish, and online resources on breast cancer and women's health. And in recognition of the importance of this collection, we'll distribute a pink cupcake to anyone checking out one of these support materials today. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Robert E. Miller, Mayor of the City of Monona, Dane County, Wisconsin, do hereby proclaim Monday, October 7th, 2013, as Pink Day in the City of Monona. I invite all residents and employees of the City of Monona to wear pink today and throughout the month of October for National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I urge women and their families in the City of Monona to get the facts about mammography. Signed in the City of Monona, Dane County, Wisconsin, this 7th day of October, 2013. Thank you all for supporting this wonderful cause, and I still have last year's pink. We will be there.
Just Officer Ryder's wife made these wonderful pink cupcakes, and for $3, that money will go towards this cause if anyone would be interested in purchasing a cupcake.
Signed, sealed, and delivered.
Alrighty.
All right, the next item is public hearing on the budget.
Mayor, I would request that we take item 2D under new business, consideration of resolution 1310-1938, approval of name placement on a Huska Park scoreboard, out of order, and take that up next.
There's a motion to alter the agenda to bring the Huska Park scoreboard discussion and council item out of order and take that next. There's a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we will do that. So at this point in time, we will now begin the council appearances. This is in regard to the Maury Hawk Ride Memorial Field and Monona Grove Businessmen's Association and their desire to provide a scoreboard for that field. Because I happen to be a member of the Monona Grove Businessmen's Association, I am recusing myself from voting on this item. If the only reason the mayor would vote if it would be a tie vote, so I will recuse myself. Is there anyone else who? Alder Bussey?
Same, Your Honor.
All right, Alder Bussey and I are both members, so there won't be a tie vote tonight then, if there is indeed a vote. And I'm recusing myself from voting, but I do reserve the right to speak. So I may speak if I feel it's warranted, at which time I will turn the gavel over to Council President Wood, and I will speak as a citizen of Monona. So with that, there's no specific order. I just took them as I received them. First up, and I would ask, because it's already going to be a very long night for the council, if we could hold your comments to 3 minutes. And could the city clerk help monitor that time to a degree? We'll try to be flexible, but brevity, make your point, and it will be greatly appreciated. So first up I have Michael Kane, 4915 Toniwatha Trail, would like to register in favor of the sign. Next I have Megan Redding, who of 6019 Queens Way, would like to register against. Whoop, I'm sorry, I didn't do this. This was actually regarding the library entry redesign, so I will note that separately. Library, I thought these were all signed. Next I have Michael Vezeret, 6305 Southern Circle, would like to register in favor of the sign. And again, unless you said you wanted to speak, I'm just registering you. If you change, please speak out. Next I have Steve Franklin, 5609 Thunderbird Lane, would like to speak in favor of the sign. Steve? And next I have John Anderson after Steve. And we will ask everyone to come up to the podium, please, to speak.
Thanks for your time for taking this on. 5609 Thunderbird Lane, Monona resident. Past president of Monona Business Association. We've donated countless hours to various organizations part of Monona, and this is just another obligation that we feel is needed, and we'd like to take care of that. On the second note, I played Pee Wee football back 40 years ago in Monona, so I kind of have a heart at what's going on with the Monona program, and I think it reflects to what we have now at the high school that just starts at a small age. And I think a scoreboard down there is needed. It's nice for the boys that play down there to find out what's going on with the scoreboard. So that's my opinion. Thanks.
Thank you. John Anderson, followed by, to see if there's any speakers so they're aware, Steve Halverson. John?
I'm John Anderson, 616 Clear Spring Court. I'm a citizen of Monona, and I'm also president of the Monona Grove Businessmen at this time. I support the Monona Grove Businessmen's Association name on the bottom of the Hawk Ride Field sign. Our club does not ask for much recognition. We give between $10,000 and $12,000 back to the community every year in scholarships and donations such as the Senior Center, Boy Scouts, food pantries, etc. We bought the scoreboard and spent the time to transport it back to the community, plus we are paying to have the sign made. Civic organizations like ours can give little things back to the community that the taxpayers cannot afford. I think this should be emphasized that we are willing to do these things. It would be nice to be recognized for our efforts. I thank you for your time, and plus I passed around a petition at the chili cook-off on Saturday, and I'm submitting 85 signatures from users of Akuska Park, of which 43 are citizens of Monona that I've collected. So here I'll give those to you. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Steve? Thank you. Followed by Greg Anderson.
Could I have part of Steve Franklin's 3 minutes? He didn't use them all.
17 seconds.
Yeah, I'm Steve Halverson, Vice President of the group. I am a Monona resident. I live at 205 Femright. The Monona Grove Businessmen started in July of 1960. Since that time, over the next 53 years, that group has given $525,000 to either Monona or the surrounding communities. And I also believe we're Monona's oldest service organization. I didn't say that really to impress you, but to impress upon you the difference this group has made in Monona. A lot of our gifts that we give, we don't get credit for, neither do we ask for credit, because in certain situations it wouldn't be appropriate. For example, if someone had a heart attack and the EMT took care of them, we wouldn't expect the EMT folks to say, Mr. Johnson, the most important thing of this evening is that defibrillator was paid for by the Monona Grove Businessmen. We wouldn't want that. For some things, though, we do believe we should get some credit for. And with Akuska Park, we've kind of adopted that park in a way with one of our members, Mike Anthony. Part of the Anthony Murphy Field is named after him. He recently donated some trees for that park as well. These weren't saplings. These are the trees on wheels. Maury Hockeride, with over 40 years of his life devoted to Pee Wee football, and so that's where we thought the scoreboard would be appropriate. Our group partnered with the Monona, or with the Dane County Veterans Monument, and so we're instrumental in the $200,000 monument there. We're very proud of that monument, but more important, we're proud of the veterans that the monument honors. And so we thought that since we're paying for 100% of the scoreboard, it's Hawkeye Field, one of our board members, it wouldn't be out of line to have our name attached to the sign that would go on the scoreboard. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, to speak, I have Greg Anderson. I'd like to speak in favor.
Good evening. I'm Greg Anderson, 5107 Drive here in Monona, and a Parks Board member. And I'm here to speak in favor of the verbiage shown on the screen there with the Monona Businessmen's Association. And actually, during the meeting a month ago, I actually voted to change that verbiage. But since that time, I've had an opportunity to give it some more thought, and I decided that the Monona Businessmen's Association deserves the recognition on that sign, and so I'd encourage the council to approve this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this matter? Bob Miller is going to, but if not, for the record, the following have registered. Dennis Kugel, 705 West Dean Avenue, would like to register in favor of the sign. Bob Van Etten, 4408 Wallace Avenue, would like to register in favor of the sign. Greg Anderson, that's a park shelter, excuse me. Norb Rebholz, 6422 Inner Drive, would like to register in favor of the sign. Julie Anderson, 616 Clear Spring Court, would like to register in favor of the sign. And then finally, Pat Marsh and the mayor received an email registering from former Mayor Litchfield, who was unable to attend, asking that his name be put in as supporting the sign. At this time, I'd like to turn the gavel over to Council President Wood. I'll be held to the same time constraints that you were dealing with 17 seconds also. Andy, if you want, if somebody can put it up. I came to this late. I did not attend. I try to attend a lot of committee meetings, but I did not attend the Parks Board meeting. I was unaware that this was on the agenda. City Administrator Marsh called me at the end and said, just heads up, after that he had attended the meeting, and shared with me that that this had been voted down. And I just want to go on record, no one appreciates committee members and volunteerism more than I do. As a resident and as an elected official and as a volunteer, it takes a lot. And with as much as we pay committee members, which is nothing, it really takes a lot for that commitment. So anything I'm about to share here does not reflect at all. I haven't been at the meeting. I was surprised at the result that this was turned down. I also had a concern that, and again, I don't want to get into all the specifics, but I don't think it should have even been before the Parks Board in terms of the verbiage on the sign, albeit the Parks Board has full rights over determining where the placement in the parks would be. So I do respect that. I just disagree. And in talking to the city attorney, I think I'm on legal ground that our ordinances are not for placement. But I agree with everything that was said tonight by the members for this organization. But I just want to show how this isn't precedent setting in the city. So yesterday I just went around and took photos of different spots in the town. Because what I had been reported, there was some concern about advertising, the logo being on there, and the ad set might be construed from that. And just doing a thumbnail sketch, we have over 350 that I could find yesterday, businesses listed on public facilities, starting with the library. Oh, wrong button. We have external notation. We have internal notation, both on floor tiles and on wall tiles. And we have bricks, and a number of the facilities have those. When it comes to the library donor signs, we have, and this is wonderful. I spent a lot of time on this project, so I was the one who went and begged for this money from these organizations. So Alliant Energy, Chamberlain Research, wonderful institutions who wrote huge checks to make that award-winning library happen. On the tiles, I know that tile to the left, I bought that tile for Channel 27 when I was there, so I bought it for a business, and that was perfectly allowed. Throughout the entire library, we have a number, and of similar organizations like MGBMA. The Monona Community Festival Committee has donated tens of thousands of dollars to this city. They have notations. MG&E has notations in the library. WPS, our largest employer, has donated lots of money, including comments about internet access by TDS. So we have business notations. As it relates to the park donor signs, the swimming pool. If you haven't been there, we have the Pool Contributors, one of the earliest contribution fundraising events from 1993. Hundreds of names, individuals, but also businesses. These are all businesses that contribute and receive permanent notation from the swimming pool. The one thing, because of the weather, I didn't have an opportunity to shoot the swimming pool, but if those of you who use the pool throughout the summer, and again, I support these efforts, but there are banners from advertisers who donate to the pool that help reduce our costs of operating that pool. So those of you, but I don't have pictures to demonstrate the banners for advertising. Winnequa Dream Park, one of the greatest things, was voted in Isthmus, Best of Madison, the best children's location, free location in all of Dane County. We had it in Monona. How was that built? That was built through hundreds and hundreds of businesses who contributed. These are just a couple of slides shooting off that slide. By the way, Jake, we need to buff this up somehow. So I notice it's showing its age. Just one. But you can just see we've noted, and throughout here on some of these I haven't pointed out, but you will see Monona Grove Businessmen's Association on all these projects is one of the donors. At the Winnequa Park Shelter, we have all kinds of notation, starting with, you see WPS, Walmart on the maiden dedication plaque. On the floors, we have logos in the floor. That's another one. I know that one, I bought that one, and no one's resisted taking that donation from me for that Discover Media Works. Again, with the logos. And here you see the Lioness Club and Village Peddler. All wonderful things that made a great, great parks environment. One of the icons of Monona, the gazebo, down on that stone right there, is a permanent plaque for the Ladies Improvement Society established in 1996. I bring that up. I'm receiving this secondhand. But I heard one of the questions that was asked was, Monona Grove Business Men's Association is a men's business club. That is indeed true, but last I looked, I don't think...
We'd be happy to admit you if you wasn't.
Ladies Improvement Society, and last I looked, the Lionesses didn't have any ladies or men in the Lioness Club. But I just bring that up for balance, I guess. And then, again, we have major signing opportunities in the city. This was at the corner of Monona Drive and Broadway, and look who donated that many years ago, the Monona Grove Businessmen's Association. When we put up the new LED sign down there, they were nice enough to allow us, and they paid, I believe, to move that sign to bring that up here. And just happens that this weekend was one of their major fundraiser events that we've been the recipient of a lot of the funding that's come out of that. And then the city itself has participated in gratefully accepting donations of all kinds. And here you see at Broadway and Monona Drive, the Monona State Bank with their sign, they paid for that sign and the placement thereof. And once again, they came forth for a major donation for the LED sign at the corner of Monona Drive and Broadway. I bring those up just to share. There's nothing new in doing this. I don't know if I missed something in this, but I'm really concerned when we have an organization, any organization, that gives as much as that organization has to the city. And I certainly don't want to be in a position to say no and look a gift horse in the mouth unless there's something missing. And in the discussion with the council, I'm sure we will have those opportunities. So thank you for indulging me as a citizen, and don't give up on us, please, for donations. My hand is always out.
Do I have to register, or can I?
No, Alder Bussey, go ahead.
I'm Jim Bussey, 5012 Maywood Road. I think that there was a fear that a precedence would be set, and I have a fear that if we don't allow this to be passed and set that donations like this aren't appreciated in the city of Monona. I would encourage you to take this out of order and accept the businessman's gift tonight.
Okay, thank you. Then I'll declare the appearances closed for this item. Is there a motion to, well, right now it's just under new business unless there's a motion to suspend the rules.
Move to suspend the rules.
Is there a second? Second. First, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion on the resolution?
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Alder O'Connor?
I chaired the park board meeting that night, and in retrospect, I think we probably should have tabled the resolution for further discussion at our next meeting. It kind of came after kind of a contentious hearing about some other things, and I think probably the members of the board probably should have taken more time to think about it ahead of time. I do think I appreciate the mayor's showing us all these signs where we acknowledge different businesses and organizations. I would say that this is a little different in that it's 18 feet wide, so it's quite a bit larger, and I think that was part of the concern. There was discussion of acknowledgement of the Businessmen's Association donation, perhaps in a plaque at the back of the sign or something like that. I don't think anyone, I guess I should say, I think everyone on the board appreciates what the Businessmen's Association has done for the city. Just one further thing would be that the question about the issue of Businessmen's Association being brought up. The member who brought that up talked to me about it later, and I know she talked to Mr. Halverson about it. She thought maybe it was a typo that businessmen should be one word and not a separate word. That's why she brought it up. She didn't have any concern about it being all men. That wasn't the issue. So I guess I would support approving this sign. I do think that the park board and the city should take a look at the park and facility naming policy, because there really isn't any kind of a policy. There's policies for naming parks and large pieces of parks, but there really isn't anything regarding signs like this or park benches, things like that, and it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to take a look at that and maybe add something to the ordinance. Thank you.
Alder Thomas and then Holmquist.
Well, I think there's no question that it makes good sense to do this, but in fairness to the park board, for a long time the park board was very sensitive about if Pepsi wanted to donate a sign, you couldn't put a Pepsi on there, and you couldn't do that. And so and things and times have changed a lot, and subsequent to the way we used to do things, we now are recognizing things and putting things on. Part of the question is, and I'm not going to get into nitpicking about how we word this, the question is how you give credit to this, because when I look at this, I look at Hawk Reed Field and I look at the Businessmen's Association, and I say, what's the connection there, as opposed to it being a connection to the sign. But, better minds than mine have talked about how to lay this out, and, long after I'm in the home, people aren't going to care. They're just going to see the Monona Grove businessmen. And I think that the precedent is, and I could disagree with a lot of the examples the mayor gave, but we have a sign a spit away from here that has Monona Grove businessmen, that was a donated sign, that we were more than happy to take that sign and take the money and accept the gift and put their name down there. And I think this is a little different from that.
Alder Holmquist.
I agree, and I support the sign. I have some concern with the materials that I was given, because there's conflicting information about what the sign actually is. So in the resolution that was presented, it talks about the scoreboard with the placard of 2 foot by 18 foot below the sign. However, on a different format I have, it has it going above the sign. And so I think there's some distinction of what is it that the sign actually is, where are things located. The second question I had was, the name of the field above it, when I look at where the scoreboard was previously used, having the name of the field above it makes perfect sense in that location. Having the Businessmen's Association kind of name makes more sense at the bottom of the sign. I know that's going to a different level of detail, but I guess some of it is I'm looking for some clarity of what exactly the sign would look like before I go to approval. So I'm not sure if there's somebody here that can speak to that.
Jake, could you speak to that?
You guys have a picture of the... Yeah. Yep.
All right, so the picture on the screen is a rendering of the actual sign that would be going up, and it's a replacement sign for the one that's currently there on the south end zone. And so the Monona Grove Youth Football, which is the 7th and 8th grade program, which predominantly would use the scoreboard, when they put the goalpost in, the sign's basically directly behind the goalpost. So it's not in the ideal spot for the visibility. Our planning director, Sonia Reichertz, and I visited the site, went up to the high school to look at their sign, looked at dimensions. This sign is significantly bigger than the one that's there. And then we looked at ideal locations in the southeast corner of the field, which would be closer to the baseball diamond, but inside of the gates, was deemed to be the best location for the sign, to be able to hook up to the existing power. In her comments on the approval, that it being a staff approval, she put, I think, a notation about having this part of the sign be below the actual scoreboard and not above it, due to height concerns. The same sign is, this new sign here is 8 foot high, whereas the existing scoreboard is 5 foot high. And this one is 18 feet long, and the existing one, I believe, is 10 or 12 feet wide. So it's an overall bigger sign, and I think there was some planning regulations on overall height of what she could approve at a staff level versus taking to the plan commission.
Sonia's here now. Jake, if you
I'll let Sonny explain her rationale for that.
We're looking, you're the key vote on deciding if we spend $1 million on signage, so.
Putting it above the road sign.
Right.
When I was reviewing the proposal for the scoreboard, I was comparing it to what had been approved previously at Ahuska Park, and compared it to the conditions of approval that were approved with that scoreboard, which listed that the Pepsi sign that was approved be placed below the scoreboard to limit the size of the height for potential visibility along the belt line. I believe that was the issue.
Do we have a visibility issue? I mean, is it, personally, I'm pretty proud it's more Hoppy, but I'd like to see that at the top, and I think you lose that if it goes at the bottom. So unless there is good cause to move it because there is a visibility, I understand there may have been in the past, but I'm hard pressed to see how that would affect outline visibility.
I believe what was written in the conditions said if possible, and then it would be up to the Parks Board, I believe, what the final configuration would be.
Okay, so.
Okay. So, Jake.
I would just say in that southeast location, the angle of it, the height won't really be an issue at all because of the tree line that's already on the belt line. The original location had maybe a better sight line to the belt line, which would have visibility of the field, but the proposed location is already there's a tree line on the Beltline area.
All right, well, thanks, Jake. The resolution that we have before us does specify that the sign panel be placed below the scoreboard, so if that's not the intent, then we would need an amendment. Alder Thomas?
I would move to amend so that Roy Hockley is above the sign.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the amendment? Alder Holmquist?
Is that indicating both the name of the field as well as the name of the organization being placed above?
Can we, I guess I'd like to talk to the people who figured out the signage to ask them, Steve, what the thinking was on this, because before, and only for...
Steve, why don't you come back up?
Only for clarity purposes, because when I look at this, I see Hawkweed Field and I see Monona Grove Businessmen's, and I'm not sure I make the connection that Monona Grove sponsored the sign. Whereas if you had Hawkweed Field above and then below had sponsored by Monona Grove Businessmen, that truly gives credit to the businessmen for what they've done. And I just ask your thoughts on what you...
Yeah, the evolution of this, Alderperson Thomas, is that that particular sign there with Mr. Gorsuch, that was on the Cambria Friesland sign that we bought and all of us went and picked up. We just made the assumption that the new sign would go above. A lot of how it's lettered, the fonts, all of that, we kind of turned over to Ken Gruenberg, a professional sign person, and in the discussions with the Parks Board, they said, well, what size letters? Why are these letters this size? And it was all because Mr. Gruenberg said, well, you can see letters at so many inches high and so many 100 feet. It's kind of scientific, actually, is the way he had it. And so we said, well, we wanted Hawkweed Field to be prominent, the most prominent thing. We wanted credit for ourselves. Since it's such a long sign, I came up with the idea of the football helmet and the seagulls. And so we just kind of turned it over to Ken to let him do his artwork. That's as much thought as we put into it. I don't know if I'm answering your question or not.
So how would you feel about separating the two? Do you think that's a better idea or a worse idea?
To separate it, it'd be more costly, but we, on our level, never really discussed the separation. Perhaps that's certainly a better solution. Perhaps it's not. I don't know.
Okay. Would that require another zoning permit then if we, Sonia?
Sign permit if the two signs are separated?
Right. Okay. All right, well, we have before us a motion to amend to allow the sign to be placed above the scoreboard. Further discussion on that, Alder O'Connor?
Alder Thomas, you meant to have the Maury Hawkweed above and the Monona Grove Businessmen's below, or?
I guess I would like, my personal feeling is, because I don't want to get in the middle of, the council is creating signs and they're nitpicking. I don't want to get into that business. But I want something that does it the way it looks best, gives the association credit for the donation, but also gives Hawkweed Field the primary importance. I'm not a graphic designer. So I guess maybe I'd like to leave that option open, because if they put it at the bottom, they could put sponsored by. And you get credit rather than just name, because this way I can't tell if I named it for the association or if you guys really get credit for sponsoring the sign. That's my intent to say. I mean, we've done that before on the bank signs. I think we say sponsored by. And it truly gives you credit for sponsoring or donated by. That's my thought.
That makes sense. There's some precedents for that, as you just mentioned. Like I say, our thought process, since we know Maury so well in the business, we didn't go further in thought than that one right there.
So my personal feeling is, I think that makes sense, but I guess I'd like to leave the option open because, as I said before, I'm going to be in the home and I'm not going to care. I just don't think it's worth. I think if it's important to them how it's laid out on the sign, I can live with it either way. I just aesthetically gives them credit for what they've done and that they ought to consider doing it that way.
Alder Holmquist?
And I agree with Alder Thomas. That was my intention of kind of raising that point of separation, because when I first saw the sign with the names together and being placed above or below, that was my first point of confusion of, well, is the field's name really this long name, or is it really, how are we giving kind of recognition to that? And so that was my direction as well, of wanting it split. I understand and appreciate. I'm not wanting to sit here and draw up the sign right now either. So I want to give some leeway to make that happen how it sees fit, but I'd rather see it separated.
So I'd like to, my intent would be, in a perfect world, would be to give them the option to do it either way, and that they could use sponsored by. You couldn't, it would look awkward to say sponsored by if you put that up under the field, because it would look like the field was sponsored by. But you could put sponsored by if you put it down below. So my intent would be to give them the option to do it. But if they want to put sponsored by or donated by, I think it needs to go on the lower level so it doesn't, people don't think that the field was donated by the businessman. That makes sense to people?
Who would have the final decision on how the sign would either be all above or partly above and partly below?
Them?
Park board.
Sonia? Planning?
Well, the question is this a sign or is it a sign or is it a scoreboard? Or is a scoreboard a sign?
Well, it required a zoning permit, so I guess I would say it's correct. We have that.
Scoreboard is a structure that would require a zoning permit.
So,
Structure.
so it would be, if it's different from what that's been previously approved, they would need to go back to Sonia to get that revised. Would be how I would read it.
And can she do that either way?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
So, I'm not clear. Could you restate your amendment, Alder Thomas?
So my amendment would be to give the businessman the option of putting Hawk Ride Field and Monona Grove Businessmen's Association at the top of the sign, or splitting out Monona Grove Businessmen's Association, and they could add sponsored by or donated at the beginning of that sentence, and that they would go through zoning, the zoning administrator for final approval. But it's their option which choice they opt for.
Right, okay.
Does that make sense?
Is the second okay with that refinement? Okay. Further discussion?
I just want to make sure that I was clear that if it was separated and had sponsored by, that would be placed at the bottom, not.
Yes, not at the top. If you put it at the top,
Makes
I
no
think
sense.
it's very confusing that you would think the field was sponsored by.
All right. Further discussion? All those, I'm sorry, Alder Spate.
I want to thank the Businessmen's Association for your many donations to the city, and I think this process tonight speaks to our need to perhaps consider a policy for the city, and I hope you will engage with us in that process so that we don't have to design signs at the council or at the Parks Board. I'm sorry I missed that meeting at the Parks Board. I was out of town. It's very rare that something exciting happens at a Parks Board meeting. So, but I think it's a wonderful thing that you're doing, and I just hope that as a city we can have a clear process so that we don't end up with a large, Pepsi sign, as Alder Thomas said. So that's my comment.
Thank you. Then on the amendment, all those in favor of the amendment say aye.
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 Any opposed? Amendment carries. Back to the main motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all. Mayor?
Ooh, I get nervous when he has that gavel.
So do I.
The city's going to be overthrown. So I called in the city attorney to be here to protect. Thank you on behalf of the city again for everyone, for both the committees and the volunteer organizations. So we'll take 1 minute. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the budget because we're going to spend about $8 million of your dollars here. So, but otherwise, you can leave if you so desire.
Did you say we get a 1 minute? Could we get a 1 minute
Yeah.
break?
Yeah. Sure. Huh? Tim? Do you have a table? Did you buy? Who bought the table?
Yeah. She said you did.
No, I didn't. No, I got to find out who I owe the money to.
That's what I got to find out. I thought she said you.
No, the last I saw is you were taking care of that.
So you're working full days now? Or
Yeah,
just part
yeah.
days?
Came back. I just thought, except for I didn't know tonight was going to be a big, long meeting, but oh well.
Yeah.
I know my energy level isn't what it
Soften him.
should be yet.
We certainly covered the last
And I'll
one.
help that too. But they're just so frustrated.
We've certainly covered the last item in detail.
Pardon me?
We covered the last item in great detail.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Let's see how I can make that into some kind of minutes. It'll be some kind of minutes. I don't know. Who knows? Doug's in charge. Change the sign.
Yeah, I didn't know we were going to, I thought we were just going to be talking about, yes, let them put the sign on there. Or no.
Oh, yeah.
Which was obvious that everybody was going to say, yes, let them put the sign on.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know we were going to get into debating the design of the sign. That's
Yes.
when